Lati says, hello Mehran. Oh, hello there. Maybe to ask you if an ex seems to be at the back of your mind, is it maybe telling you not to move on, or is that just a trick the mind plays? There's no trick. The mind is a recorder. It records 24/7. You're supposed to have lots of things back of your mind, but the fact is, just because something is in your mind, is in your thought, doesn't mean you should be acting on it. I could have something on my mind which may or may not be beneficial to me or beneficial to the society. It doesn't mean just because a thought has appeared, now I gotta act on it. So you have information of all kinds in your mind, and some of it could be about your ex. And so what? Thought is a thought. It's not a mandate. Thought is a suggestion, is a recognition of emotion. A thought is a thought, is not actuality, is not supposed to be pursued just because a thought has come. It's not a deity, it's not a something that's, oh, it has come to me now. I have been enlightened because a thought. It's a thought. It's like a sandstorm. The wind comes and lifts up lots of sand. Just doesn't mean, it doesn't mean just because they have appeared and they're there, now you're supposed to think of them as each one of them needs to be paid attention to. It's just mishmash. It's there. You're not supposed to pay attention to thought that much. Look, mind creates a thought 24/7. Always there's something you're thinking about, but doesn't mean that just because it's thinking about it needs to pay attention to it or be taken seriously or as if it means something. It's there. It produces things based on what material is available to it. Look, imagine, think of thought as a factory built in an area which all kinds of things are there. There's water there, there is sunshine there, there is metal there, there's garbage there, there's shit there, there's all kinds of things in that environment. Now, if this plant is supposed to make some high quality stuff, so as long as you and all the machineries, all the facility, all the assembly lines is working 24/7, it has to work, it cannot stop. It's just, that's the way it's been designed to produce all these good products. As long as you feed it the good material, the gold, the silver, the diamond, the this and that, and the food and the things, it will produce for you. But if you don't give it the good material, it can't stop. It just sucks in whatever the shit is around it. And the garbage can come into the factory and go into the assembly line and go to the machine and be formed and forged, and then suddenly comes out something that you never thought. It's part of the mandate of the factory. But the factory is the maker, is a builder. It does things. If you don't give it good material, if it just finds whatever is out there, is going to grab it and put it in the machines and then turn out something which could be totally nonsense, bullshit, stinks, garbage. Are you supposed to be paying attention and treat that product that its sources are that garbage is around the environment, that the factory has pulled it into the machines and made something out of it, as if it's the product that it was designed to produce? No, you ignore it. You know, you've got people who look at the quality control people on the assembly line. So, oh, that shit, throw that. Now, you got to do the same thing in your mind. If you don't have good intentions, good thoughts, and relax, and in a way that you will have good material for your mind to produce good thoughts, it will produce all kind of garbage because it's capable. It's aware of almost everything, and it pulls in and just spit out shit because it's supposed to work. And you're supposed to have quality control person and simply not good, not pay attention to that, throw it in garbage, doesn't meet the specification, doesn't meet the standards, it's below the standards, and then you reject them. And one way of rejecting is just not pay attention to, which means focus on what you're doing. When you keep focusing on what you're doing, what happens when somebody keeps pestering you, talking to you, you're in classroom and keeps saying, psst, psst, hey, give me your pencil, hey, hey, did you read it, hey, what do you do eventually? If you don't pay attention to that person, eventually shuts up because he sees there's no communication coming back. So when the thoughts keeps coming, and it's of no use, you reject it, your quality control says that's garbage thought, or I've thought of it before, or it's not necessary, or it's just nonsense, doesn't pertain to me, it's just nothing I want to think about it. So when you don't pay attention to it and focus on what you're doing constantly, what happens? Just like that person in the classroom, psh, psh, this one is also eventually says, well, this brain, this consciousness doesn't pay attention to the garbage of them, to what I'm saying, so eventually shuts up. Eventually stops expecting you to pay attention to it, and you will train it not to understand that it's not going to be paid attention to if the production is nonsense, if the thoughts are just negative or annoying, or it's not interested in by you, you're not interested in it, or whatever, disgusting, or whatever that is not of your interest. It will eventually be trained. Mind needs to be trained to know what to produce, and if there is no raw material, subject, topic of thought that you approve of, it should remain idle. Not keep producing, grabbing shit around the environment and putting the garbage in and turning products out of it. That's waste of energy and useless, and it will be rejected. Once it's trained that way, then it will just simply learn that it needs to look at the trees and enjoy and relax. And if you have gotten one of my books, Me, My Psyche and I, have learned mind needs a home, and it knows where its home is, and it will be there, relaxed, waiting for you to call upon it. Mind is like a horse. Look, if you let a horse go, it has its own mind, it has its own agenda. You don't have anything to do with him. You don't want to use the horse. You don't want to ride it. You don't want to train it. You don't want to interact with it. It will go do its own thing. You can't expect the horse, when you don't have anything to do with it, hang around there, wait for you. No, it will go do its own thing. The thought the same. If you have no business to do with it, if you don't want it to learn something, focus on it, research on something, discuss something, or ponder on something, it will have its own bullshit. It does all what it wants to do, and you're supposed to not pay attention to it, just like the horse that is playing around. It has its right, the horse, and your thought, it has a mind of his own. So you need to understand that if you give your mind a home, it will be like the horse that is saddled, ready for you. Every time you want it, you jump on it and you go. But when you don't have anything to do with it, it will play around. And when it's playing around, you're not supposed to pay attention to it. Let him do his thing. Thought too. Don't bother with it. So what? It's a thought. It's not you. It's a thought, and has no basis, no value really, and no mandate. It means nothing. Thought is stupid. Based on many kind of emotion, it creates some kind of a product, and it's up to you to disqualify that product, or pay or not pay attention to it. Simple. And that is, I guess, a bit of an answer to your question. So you will have some kind of understanding of how to treat your mind, your thoughts, your consciousness, and not be following your thoughts. You know, thoughts. Read my Transient Thoughts and Me book. There'll be lots of information there. Okay, now let's move on. I guess I forgot what the rest I wanted to say. Perhaps you guys were saved by the bell, otherwise I'd go on for another hour, which we only have 1 hour, guys. Now, guys, push the like before you guys forget. And so that was Lottie's question. Okay, so so it's telling you nothing. Just, it tells you, just, you know, just use your rationality and that. It's just because something is in your head, there's no mystic about it. It's not coming from the outer space, or it's not a commandment.